The Galactic Council chamber was massive. It floated in the darkness of space, built from metals that humans had never seen before. Inside, representatives from 47 different species sat in their designated areas. Some had scales, some had fur, others had bodies made of something that looked like living rock. They all watched the two humans who stood at the center of the floor. Was tall for a human male. He had black hair and a calm face. His hands were folded behind his back. Next to him stood. She was shorter with long dark hair tied back neatly. She smiled at the council members. Her smile was warm and genuine. Ambassador leaned forward in his seat. He was from a species called the. His skin was gray and thick like armor. His eyes were small and yellow. He had been studying humans for 3 years now, ever since Earth joined the galactic community. He found them confusing. "They smile too much," said quietly to his assistant, a younger named. "It is strange. They show their teeth but mean no threat." Nodded slowly. "I have read reports about them. They are soft creatures. No claws, no venom, no natural armor. Their planet is dangerous, but they themselves are harmless." Made a sound of agreement. "Herbivores," he said. "They must be. Look at how they move. So careful, so gentle. They want everyone to like them." On the council floor was speaking. His voice was calm and measured. He talked about trade agreements and cultural exchange programs. He used words like friendship and cooperation and mutual benefit. The translator devices converted his words into 47 different languages. Many council members were not paying full attention. The humans were new. They were interesting at first, but now they seemed boring. They never fought. They never made threats. They just smiled and talked and tried to make deals that helped everyone. High Counselor watched from her elevated seat. She was ancient, her body wrapped in flowing robes that hid most of her form. Only her face was visible, pale blue skin with deep black eyes. She had seen many species join the council over her long life. Humans puzzled her. "They survived a death world," she said to herself. "Their planet has predators, diseases, extreme temperatures, yet they act like prey animals." After finished speaking, stepped forward. She presented gifts from Earth, small things, art pieces, music recordings, samples of human food carefully prepared to be safe for different alien biologies. She explained each gift with patience and kindness. A representative from the species laughed. They were large and muscular, covered in short brown fur. They valued strength above all else. "Gifts," they said loudly. "They bring us gifts like children seeking approval. Where is their pride? Where is their strength?" Some other species joined in the laughter and did not react. They kept their smiles. They bowed slightly and returned to their seats at the edge of the chamber. Later, during a break in the session, approached the human ambassadors. He wanted to understand them better. Perhaps there was something he was missing. Ambassador said, "May I ask you a question?" Turned to face him. His smile was still there. "Of course, Ambassador, we are happy to answer any questions." "Your species," began. "You have no natural weapons, no claws, no fangs worth mentioning. How did you become the dominant species on your planet?" Glanced at, something passed between them. A look that could not read, then turned back, and his smile was just as warm as before. "We learned to work together," said. "We cooperated, we built tools, we helped each other survive." Tilted his head. "That is all cooperation." "That is a big part of it," said softly. "Humans are social creatures. We form bonds, we protect our groups, we share resources." Was not satisfied with this answer, but he nodded politely. "I see. Thank you for explaining." As walked away, joined him. "What do you think?" asked. "I think they are hiding something," said, "but I do not know what. Perhaps they are simply embarrassed by their weakness. Perhaps they overstate their achievements." Looked back at the two humans. They were talking quietly to each other now, laughed at something said. It was a light, pleasant sound. "They seem harmless enough," said. "Yes," agreed, harmless. In the following weeks, the council continued its sessions. The humans attended every meeting. They listened carefully. They took notes. They asked thoughtful questions about galactic law and custom. They never raised their voices. They never demanded anything. They were always polite. Some species began to see humans as useful. They were good at negotiating. They could find solutions that made everyone reasonably happy. They seemed to genuinely want peace. Other species saw humans as weak and unimportant. A species without warriors was a species without power in their eyes. The humans had technology, yes, but nothing remarkable by galactic standards. They had resources, but so did many other worlds. What did they really offer? And noticed the way other species looked at them. They saw the dismissive glances and heard the whispered jokes. They did not let it bother them outwardly. They continued their work with patience. One evening, after a particularly long session, and sat alone in their quarters on Station Cora. The station was neutral ground, a massive structure where many species lived and worked together. "They think we are weak," said. She was looking out the window at the stars. Sat in a chair, reading reports on a data pad. "Let them think that." "It bothers me sometimes," admitted. "They look at us like we are children or pets." Set down the data pad. He looked at with steady eyes. "Our ancestors survived ice ages, famines, plagues, and wars. We hunted animals 10 times our size. We spread across every environment on our planet. We reached the stars." Nodded slowly. "I know." "They see our kindness and think it is weakness," continued. "They do not understand that we choose to be kind. They do not understand what we are capable of when we choose not to be." Turned from the window. "You think they will learn someday?" Picked up his data pad again. "I hope they never have to, but if that day comes, they will understand." Outside their window, Station Cora drifted peacefully through space. Thousands of beings from dozens of species went about their lives, unaware of anything unusual. The humans were just another new species. Soft, friendly, harmless. That was what everyone believed. That was what everyone would continue to believe, until the day everything changed. The diplomatic summit was held in the central hall of Station Cora. It was a grand event. Representatives from 30 species had gathered to discuss new trade routes through a recently discovered sector of space. The hall was decorated with banners from each participating world. Food and drinks from different planets were served by robotic attendants. And stood near the back of the hall. They were observing, taking mental notes about the different species and their behaviors. This was how humans learned. They watched. They listened. They remembered everything. Ambassador was speaking at the main platform. He was proposing a joint security arrangement for the new sector. His voice boomed through the translation systems. Other ambassadors nodded or made notes on their devices. Noticed something strange. Near one of the side entrances, several figures were moving in an unusual pattern. They wore maintenance uniforms, but their movements were too coordinated, too purposeful. She touched his arm lightly. 6 o'clock, service entrance, something is wrong. Did not turn his head. He shifted his weight slightly, using the reflective surface of a decorative pillar to see behind him. His eyes narrowed just a fraction. "I see them," he said quietly. "Not maintenance workers, the way they move, military training." Before they could act, the lights in the hall went dark. Emergency lighting kicked in a moment later, casting everything in a dim red glow. Then the screaming started. Armed figures burst through multiple entrances at once. They were a species known for raiding and piracy. They were tall and thin, with gray-green skin and 4 arms. Each arm held a weapon. They moved fast, faster than most species could react. "Everyone down," one of them shouted. "This station now belongs to the Confederacy. Resist and die." Chaos erupted. Ambassadors and their staff scrambled for cover. Some tried to run. The fired warning shots into the ceiling. Pieces of debris rained down. The message was clear. There was no escape. And had dropped to the floor with everyone else. But their reactions were different from the aliens around them. While others trembled and cried out, the two humans were completely still. Their breathing had slowed. Their eyes were moving, tracking every in the room, noting positions, counting weapons, identifying exits. A commander walked to the center of the hall. He was larger than the others, with scars covering his face. He smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Good," he said. "Very good. So many important people in one place. You will make excellent hostages. Your governments will pay well for your return." Ambassador was on the ground near the main platform. His assistant was beside him, shaking with fear. Tried to stay calm, but his hearts were beating too fast. "This is madness," said Tu in a whisper. "The Council will send warships. They cannot win." "They do not need to win," whispered back. "They just need to escape with hostages. By the time help arrives, they will be gone." They began organizing their prisoners. They separated the ambassadors from their staff. They took communication devices. They bound hands with energy restraints. One soldier approached and he looked at them with curiosity. "What species are you?" he demanded. "Human," said. His voice was calm, too calm. They laughed. "Human, I have heard of you, the weak ones, the friendly ones." He grabbed his arm and pulled him up roughly. "You will not cause any trouble, will you?" Looked directly into his eyes. For just a moment, something changed in his face. The warmth disappeared. What replaced it was cold and empty, like looking into deep water where something dangerous waited below. The soldier felt a chill run through his body. He did not know why. He had faced many enemies in battle. He had never felt afraid like this. He released his arm and stepped back quickly. "Move with the others," the soldier said. His voice was less confident now. His warm expression returned immediately. He nodded politely and walked toward the group of prisoners. The soldier watched him go, feeling confused and disturbed. Was brought to join the prisoners a moment later. She walked calmly, her eyes taking in every detail of the situation. She counted 23 soldiers in the main hall. She noted the type of weapons they carried. She observed their formation and identified their communication patterns. The prisoners were moved to a smaller room off the main hall. It had one entrance and no windows. They posted 4 guards outside the door. Inside, the ambassadors were panicking. The representative was packing back and forth, growling with frustration. A small species called the wren huddled together, making soft crying sounds. Ambassador sat against the wall, trying to think of options. And sat in a corner, away from the others. They were speaking in very quiet voices, in a human language that the translator devices struggled to process. 23 in the main hall, said. Probably more throughout the station. They cut the main communication systems, but I saw backup nodes in the walls, still functional. Nodded. They are overconfident. They think this will be easy. Their formation is loose, designed to intimidate, not to defend. The guards outside rotate every hour, observed. I timed the first shift. When they rotate, there is a gap, about 8 seconds. Ambassador had been watching the humans. He crawled over to them slowly, not wanting to attract the guards' attention. "What are you doing?" he whispered. "Why are you talking like that?" Looked at, the warmth was still gone from his eyes. Felt his blood go cold. "We are assessing the situation," said. Assessing, could not believe what he was hearing. "We are prisoners. There is nothing to assess. We wait for rescue or we wait for death." Turned to look at. Her expression had changed too. The kind, gentle woman he had seen at the council was gone. In her place was something else, something focused and sharp like a blade. "We do not wait," said simply. Stared at them. For the first time since meeting humans, he felt truly afraid. Not afraid of the two creatures sitting in front of him. "What are you?" he whispered. His lips curved into something that was almost a smile, but it held no warmth at all. "We told you, Ambassador. We are human. In the corner of the room, the two humans continued their quiet planning. The other prisoners did not understand what was happening. They saw only two soft, weak creatures from a harmless world. They did not see the predators awakening. They did not see the hunters preparing to hunt. They had made a terrible mistake. They had trapped themselves in a small space with humans who no longer had any reason to pretend. The galaxy was about to learn a lesson that Earth's prey animals had learned millions of years ago. When humans stopped smiling, it was time to run. But for them, it was already too late to run. The room was quiet except for the soft sounds of frightened aliens. Ambassador watched the two humans with growing unease. They had not moved from their corner in over an hour. They sat perfectly still, like statues. Only their eyes moved, tracking the guards through the small window in the door. Stood up slowly. Her movements were different now. Every motion was controlled and silent. She walked toward the door, staying in the blind spot of the window. "What are you doing?" the representative hissed. "Sit down, they will kill us all." Did not respond. She pressed her ear against the wall next to the door. She closed her eyes and listened. After 30 seconds, she returned to. "Two guards now, not 4, she whispered. "The rotation is coming in 12 minutes. The other 2 went to help in Section 7. Some kind of problem with local security systems." Nodded, "That is our window." Ambassador crawled closer again. He could not stop himself. He needed to understand what was happening. "You cannot fight he said. "They have weapons, training, 4 arms each. You are just." "Just what?" asked. His voice was soft, but something in it made stop talking immediately. "I meant no offense," said quickly. "Humans have been fighting since before we could walk upright," said. "We hunted animals that could crush us with one blow. We fought each other in wars that killed millions. We are very, very good at violence, Ambassador." Felt his mouth go dry. "Then why do you act so peaceful?" Looked at him, and for a moment saw something ancient in those human eyes. Something that had been passed down through thousands of generations. The look of a predator that had clawed its way to the top of a brutal food chain. "Because we know what we are capable of," said. "We have seen our own darkness. We choose peace because we understand the alternative. But when our people are threatened, when there is no other way," he paused, "we stop choosing." The 12 minutes passed slowly, positioned herself near the door, moved to the other side. The other prisoners watched in confused silence. They did not understand what was about to happen. The door opened. A single guard entered to do a head count. He never completed it. Moved like water. Her hand shot out and grabbed the guard's primary wrist before he could raise his weapon. She twisted in a specific way, and the weapon fell from his grip. In the same motion, she struck the nerve cluster in his neck that she had spent the last hour locating through careful observation. The collapsed without making a sound, caught his body before it could hit the floor. The whole action took less than 3 seconds. The second guard turned at the sound of movement, but was already there. He moved faster than thought possible for a species without enhanced muscles or natural weapons. A single precise strike to the temple, and the second guard dropped. Picked up both weapons. She handed one too. They checked the charge levels and nodded to each other. Ambassador stared at the unconscious. He had never seen anything like this. They were feared warriors. These two had been neutralized in seconds. "How did you do that?" asked. "Pressure points," said. "Every species has them. It took me about 40 minutes to figure out where to keep theirs. Their vascular system is similar to a species we call octopuses on Earth." 40 minutes, repeated weakly. "You figured out how to disable them in 40 minutes while being held prisoner." Was already at the door checking the hallway. "It is what we do, Ambassador. Humans are persistence predators. We observe, we learn, we adapt. We do not stop until the hunt is over." Hunt said, "You are the ones who were captured." Smiled, but it was not the warm smile remembered from the council. This smile was cold and sharp. We were never captured, Ambassador. We were assessing the threat. Now we have enough information. Now we hunt. The two humans slipped out into the hallway. They moved in perfect coordination, covering angles, communicating through hand signals and subtle gestures. They had trained for this. Every human soldier would later learn, trained for exactly this kind of situation. The aliens who followed them, and a few others brave enough to move, watched in stunned silence as the humans worked. They encountered a patrol in the next corridor. 3 soldiers, all armed. The soldiers saw them. They raised their weapons. They opened their mouths to shout warnings. They never got the chance. Fired twice. Both shots hit center mass. The first 2 fell, was moving before the bodies hit the ground. She closed the distance to the 3rd soldier in 2 heartbeats. Her hand found his throat. She squeezed once hard and he collapsed. "You killed them," whispered. His voice was shaking. "They would have killed you," said. She was not even breathing hard. "This is war now. In war, humans do not hesitate." They continued through the station. The humans seemed to know exactly where to go. Later, would learn that they had memorized the station's layout within their first week of arrival. Every corridor, every maintenance shaft, every emergency system. Stopped at a communications panel hidden behind a wall section. He removed the cover with practiced efficiency and began working on the wires inside. "What are you doing?" asked. "Sending a message to our ship," said. "The blocked main communications, but this is a backup emergency system. Different frequency. They probably do not know it exists." "Your ship?" "The vessel that brought us here," said. "It is small, but it carries a crew of 12, all trained, all very motivated to find us." He finished the connection and spoke into a small communicator he pulled from inside his clothing. Station is hostile. Raiders. Estimated force 50 to 70. Ambassador and I are mobile, beginning clearance operations. Request immediate support." A voice crackled back through the communicator. Male, calm. "Received, Ambassador. Team is already suited up. We were getting bored. ETA 15 minutes. Put away the communicator. He looked at the frightened aliens behind him. For just a moment, his expression softened slightly. "Help is coming," he said. "Stay close to us. Do exactly what we say. You will survive this." Ambassador nodded slowly. He had so many questions. He had thought he understood humans. He had thought they were harmless creatures who smiled too much. He had been terribly, terribly wrong. Somewhere in the station, a commander was still celebrating his successful raid. He believed he had captured a station full of weak diplomats. He believed his victory was complete. He did not know that 2 apex predators were now hunting him through his own corridors. He did not know that 12 more were on their way. He would learn very soon. And it would be the last lesson he ever learned. The human vessel, Dawn Star, approached Station Cora without running lights. It drifted through the darkness of space like a ghost, using minimal power to avoid detection. Inside, 12 humans prepared for battle. Captain checked his weapon for the 3rd time. It was a habit from years of training. His team moved around him in quiet efficiency. They wore dark tactical suits that absorbed light. Their faces were calm, but their eyes burned with focus. His second-in-command approached with a data pad. Scans show approximately 60 on the station. They are concentrated in the central hub and the command section, and are moving through the eastern corridors. They have already eliminated 12 hostiles. Nodded. 12, good. That means our ambassadors are awake. The team understood what he meant. Every human child learned about the 2 states of human existence. There was the normal state, the peaceful, smiling, cooperative creature that the galaxy had come to know. Then there was the other state, the ancient state, the one that had helped humanity survive a planet full of predators, diseases, and disasters. Humans called it many things: Hunter mode, combat state, the awakening. Scientists said it was evolution. Thousands of years of survival had built certain responses into human DNA. When threatened with no escape, when loved ones were in danger, when all peaceful options failed, something changed inside a human. Heart rate would drop instead of rise. Fear would transform into cold focus. The thinking parts of the brain would quiet, and older, more primitive systems would take control. Humans became patient, calculating, absolutely relentless. Docking in 2 minutes, the pilot called. His name was Wu. He was young but talented. Service Bay 7. Sensors show it is unguarded. They are arrogant, said. They think no one would dare attack them. We will teach them differently. The ship connected to the station with barely a sound. The airlock cycled open. 12 shadows slipped through, spreading out in a precise formation. They did not speak. They communicated through hand signals developed over centuries of human warfare. Inside the station, they were starting to feel uneasy. Reports were coming in of missing patrols. Soldiers sent to investigate did not return. The commander dismissed the first few reports as communication problems. But when the number of missing soldiers reached 20, he could no longer ignore it. Find them, the commander shouted at his officers. Find whoever is doing this. The search teams moved through the station in groups of 6. They were careful now. They watched every corner, every shadow. But they were looking for what they expected, armed enemies making noise, fighting directly. They were not looking for what actually hunted them. Pressed her back against a wall, invisible in the darkness of a maintenance corridor. 2 soldiers walked past her, close enough to touch. She did not move. She did not breathe. Humans could slow their heart rate through focus and training. She had learned to become almost invisible when she needed to. When the soldiers passed, she moved, silent as death itself. 2 quick strikes, 2 bodies falling without a sound. She dragged them into a side room and continued on. Across the station, similar scenes played out, and worked as a pair, covering each other as they moved through the cargo section. They found a group of 8 and waited for the right moment. When the soldiers split up to search different containers, the humans attacked. In 30 seconds, all 8 were down. Jin was alone in the ventilation system. He crawled through the metal tunnels with practiced ease. Below him, through a grate, he could see the command center where the commander waited with his officers. Jin counted the guards, noted their positions, and moved on. Information was as valuable as bullets in this kind of fight. Captain and found and near the central hub. The 4 humans nodded at each other without words. They shared information through quick gestures. The ambassadors had freed most of the prisoners and hidden them in a secure area. Now it was time to end this. The commander is in the command center, said quietly. 20 guards with him. He is waiting for rescue that will not come. His ships fled when they detected our vessel approaching. Cowards, said. Practical, corrected. They know they cannot defeat a human military response. They hoped to grab hostages and run, but they waited too long. How do we take the command center? Asked. 20 guards is a significant force. Smiled, it was a cold smile that showed too many teeth. We do not take it, we make them come out. The plan was simple and brutal. Jin, still in the ventilation system, released a smoke compound into the command center. It was not harmful, but it was extremely irritating to most carbon-based species. Within minutes, they could not see or breathe properly. They had to evacuate. When the doors opened and the coughing, stumbling emerged, 12 humans were waiting. The battle lasted exactly 43 seconds. When it was over, not a single was left standing. Ambassador had watched from a distance. He saw how the humans worked together like parts of a single organism. He saw their terrible efficiency. He saw the cold focus in their eyes. No anger, no hatred, just pure predatory purpose. The commander was still alive, had ordered him taken alive for questioning. 2 humans held him on his knees, his 4 arms bound behind his back. You, the commander spat at. You were supposed to be weak. Your species has no warriors, our intelligence said. Your intelligence was wrong, said calmly. Every human is a warrior, Commander. We just prefer not to fight. There is a difference. What will you do with me? The commander asked. His voice trembled despite his efforts to sound brave. Looked at him for a long moment. Then the warmth returned to his eyes. The kind smile came back. It was somehow more frightening than the cold focus had been. We will hand you over to the Galactic Council for trial, said. We are civilized people, Commander. We believe in justice and due process. But if you had harmed our people, added, stepping forward with her own warm smile, if you had killed even one of the ambassadors we were sworn to protect, we would have hunted your entire confederacy, every ship, every station, every world. We would not have stopped until your species was a memory. The commander looked into her gentle, smiling face, and he saw absolute truth in her words. He saw an entire species of predators who had chosen to build civilization instead of empires, peace instead of war. And he understood, finally, why that choice made them far more terrifying than any conqueror. The humans did not fight for glory or power. They fought for their own. And for their own, they would become something that made the universe's worst nightmares look like children's stories. The commander lowered his head and did not speak again. 3 days after the attack on Station Cora, the Galactic Council called an emergency session. The massive chamber was filled to capacity. Representatives from every member species had come to hear the report. Rumors had spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Everyone wanted to know what had really happened. Ambassador stood at the speaker's platform. His gray skin looked paler than usual. He had not slept well since the attack. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw humans moving through shadows like ghosts. He saw their cold eyes and their warm smiles, and he did not know which frightened him more. I have prepared a full account of the incident, began. His voice was steady, but it took effort. What I witnessed will change everything we believed about the species known as humanity. The council members leaned forward in their seats. Even those who usually showed no interest in other species were paying attention now. Told them everything. He described how the humans had been captured with everyone else. He explained how they had sat quietly, observing, learning, planning. He recounted the moment when they had stopped pretending and shown what they really were. In less than 1 hour, 2 humans disabled over 30 armed soldiers, said. When their ship arrived with 12 additional humans, the entire raiding force of 60 was neutralized in under 3 hours. Not a single human was injured. Not a single hostage was harmed. Murmurs spread through the council chamber. Some species exchanged worried glances. Others looked at the human ambassadors with new, calculating eyes, and sat in their usual seats at the edge of the chamber. They looked exactly as they always had, calm, friendly, approachable, was even smiling slightly, as if was telling an amusing story rather than describing acts of precise violence. I must ask our human colleagues, High Counselor said from her elevated seat. Her ancient voice echoed through the chamber. Is Ambassador's account accurate? Rose and bowed respectfully. It is accurate, High Counselor. Perhaps he has even understated our response. We tried to minimize casualties. We only killed those who gave us no other option. Only killed those who gave you no option, repeated the representative. His voice was different now. The mockery was gone. You say that so casually. There is nothing casual about it, replied. Every death weighs on us. Every life we take is a failure to find a peaceful solution. But when our people are threatened, we will not hesitate to protect them. This is who we are. High Counselor studied the human ambassador for a long moment. You have hidden this side of yourselves. Why? Stood to join. We did not hide it, High Counselor. We simply did not display it. There is a difference. We came to this council in peace. We wanted to build relationships based on cooperation, not fear. What would you have thought of us if we had introduced ourselves with displays of violence? We would have respected you, the said. You would have feared us, corrected gently. And fear is not the foundation for trust. We wanted to earn your trust first. We wanted you to know that our peace is genuine, not a mask for weakness. But it is a mask, another representative called out. You wear kindness like armor. Beneath it you are killers. Shook his head. No, our kindness is real, our compassion is real. These are not masks, they are choices. Conscious choices we make every day. We choose to be peaceful. We choose to be helpful. We choose to smile and cooperate and build rather than destroy. He paused and looked around the chamber. Every eye was on him. But when those choices are taken from us, he continued, when someone forces us into a corner and threatens what we love, then we stop choosing. Then you see what millions of years of evolution created. You see the survivor, the hunter, the apex predator that conquered the most dangerous planet in known space. Silence fell over the council. No one spoke, no one moved. Ambassador stepped forward again. I have studied many species in my career, he said. I thought I understood humans. I believed they were soft, emotional creatures who succeeded through luck and cooperation. I was wrong. He turned to face and his small yellow eyes met their dark human eyes. Humans are perhaps the most dangerous species in this galaxy, continued. Not because of their weapons or technology, not because of their numbers or resources. They are dangerous because they choose to be kind. They have looked into their own capacity for violence, and they have chosen to build societies based on love and connection instead. He turned back to the council, and that choice, that conscious, deliberate choice to be peaceful, means they could just as easily choose the opposite. If they ever decided to conquer instead of cooperate, if they ever turned that predator instinct toward expansion instead of protection, I do not believe any force in this galaxy could stop them. The council chamber remained silent for a long moment. Then High Counselor spoke. What do you recommend, Ambassador? Straightened his posture. I recommend that we stop treating humans as harmless newcomers. I recommend that we respect them as equals, not because we fear them, but because they have earned it. They could have demanded respect through force. They chose to earn it through patience and kindness. That deserves our recognition. Stepped forward and bowed again. The human delegation appreciates Ambassador's words, but we want to be clear. We do not seek recognition or special treatment. We simply want to be part of this community. We want to help build something lasting and peaceful. His warm smile returned fully. It was genuine. It was kind. And now every species in that chamber understood what it truly meant. We have one saying on Earth that might help you understand us, added. Humans do not have a fight or flight response the way most species do. We have something different. We call it the hunt or mercy response. He looked around the chamber one final time. You have seen our mercy. You have seen our friendship and cooperation and desire for peace. These are the gifts we choose to give. But for those who threaten our people, who harm the innocent, who mistake our kindness for weakness. He did not need to finish the sentence. Every being in the chamber understood. The Galactic Council session ended quietly. As representatives filed out, many paused to look at the human ambassadors with new eyes. Some nodded respectfully. Others kept their distance, unsure how to process what they had learned. And walked together through the corridors of Station Cora. The station had been repaired quickly. Life was returning to normal. Species that had once ignored them now stepped aside to let them pass. They are afraid of us now, said quietly. Some of them agreed. But fear will fade. What we have now is respect. That is a better foundation than what we had before. They passed a group of young aliens, children of various species who lived on the station with their families. The children were playing some kind of game that involved running and laughing. When they saw the human ambassadors, they waved excitedly. And waved back, their smiles warm and genuine. "That is why we choose peace," said, watching the children play, "because there is so much worth protecting, so much worth nurturing." Nodded, "And because we know exactly what we would become if we did not make that choice." They walked on together, two ambassadors from a small planet, carrying within them the legacy of millions of years of survival. They were kind because they chose to be. They were peaceful because they understood the alternative. And somewhere in the back of every alien mind they passed, a new understanding had taken root. Humanity was not dangerous despite its kindness. Humanity was dangerous because of it. The galaxy would never look at them the same way again.